In today's show, we look back at all of Sunday's action, what we need to pay attention to from those games. We look at some news, a general recap show. Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy Basketball, your daily fantasy basketball podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd and I am the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com. And you can find me on Twitter, as always, at redrock_bball, on TikTok at redrock_bball, and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with the promo code Locked On. That's PrizePicks.com, and the promo code is Locked On. Thank you for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms. Let's look back at Sunday. There were 8 games on. The Locked On Fantasy Basketball Bowl wrapped up. Well, at the time of me recording this, it hasn't quite wrapped up because I'm recording the start of this show before the games are finished. But by the time the show ends, we will have a winner there as well. So we'll go through the winners of the 2 Locked On Fantasy Basketball Bowls at the end of the show. I hope I remember to do that and cover everything that happened in between. So, Warnie.
Let's get it on, Gilly.
All right. Ja Morant is out tomorrow. No surprise there. Jaren Jackson's questionable, though. We didn't see that one coming. Didn't know that was going to be a thing. He's dealing with a calf issue, so there's big opportunities there. Tyus Jones, obviously, is the one for Ja, but if Jaren is out, then Santi Aldama's back in the mix. Xavier T. Ullman's value goes up. David Roddy moves up into deeper leagues as well, but Aldama's going to be the real interesting stream if Jaren does happen to be sidelined. Luka and Kyrie are both questionable. We thought Luka would be, but Kyrie back on the injury report with that foot issue. That feels like it's going to be an ongoing issue with missed games the rest of the regular season as he has that foot problem. So if they're both out, then Josh Green and Jaden Hardy are back on the mix, or back in the mix. And if one of them's out, then neither of those other 2 guys, Green or Hardy, are worthwhile options. And Tim Hardaway gets a big boost as well if Kyrie and Luka happen to be sidelined. Lauri Markkanen is questionable for Utah. I bring this up because I do think this is going to be a regular thing down these last 3 weeks of the season with his back soreness. And that's just going to give an opportunity, whether it's him out or Olynyk out or Clarkson out, for Ochai Agbaji to play 30-plus minutes a night, maybe even a little bit of Simone Fontecchio getting some minutes in there as well. So I would expect Markkanen to miss quite a few games here down the stretch. Whether it's Monday or not, I don't know, but I'm just preparing you for what I think is going to happen there with him. Interestingly, Indiana upgraded Benedict Mathurin to questionable. I didn't think he'd play again this season, to be honest, but he's questionable. So we've got him questionable, we've got Chris Duarte questionable, and Tyrese Halliburton out. With Mathurin and Duarte there, their statuses impact the value of Jordan Nwora and of Aaron Nesmith. I still think Nesmith and Nwora are worth having a crack at, especially considering I don't think both Mathurin and Duarte will play, and there's still the absence of Halliburton. But it does complicate that a little bit. And then in Minnesota, Goose, Anthony Edwards, and Rudy Gobert.
Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert.
They are both questionable for tomorrow. So if Edwards is out, they started Taurean Prince. That didn't work. So we'll see whether it's Prince or they go to Austin Rivers if he's available, or they go to Alexander Walker in that situation. And with Gobert out, it'll be Reed, but the Wizard of Oz himself is questionable with a calf issue. So he could be getting Luka Garza and Nathan Knight getting sizable playing time. So a few interesting things there with Minnesota and their injury statuses heading into tomorrow. Let's go through Sunday's games. First one of those games was early, as often happens on Sunday. The first one was the Denver Nuggets taking on the Brooklyn Nets. The Nuggets get the victory here, 108-102 against Brooklyn, which they did need, obviously, after all their recent losses. Big Chungus played 36 minutes. Nikola Jokic. It was great. 22, 17, 10, 2 steals, 75%. Can't really ask for much more. And it was great to see what we got from Maga Porter Jr. as well. 28 and 9, 5 threes and 3 assists. Now, Porter's obviously been inconsistent over periods of time here, and they've only got a 2-game week coming up, the Nuggets. So we roll with Jokic, obviously. And Porter was going to be borderline to me. This game is great. And if we got 2 of these games, we'd feel really good about using him for 2 games during the week. I just don't know that we're going to, but it makes it hard to drop him after a performance like this. And I probably wouldn't do it just yet. The headmaster played 37 minutes, Jamal Murray, 25, 1, and 8 for him. And then, interestingly, Zeke Naji returned from his injury and Thomas Bryant out of the rotation. Remember when LeBron was saying, man, I've been dreaming about how me and AD and Thomas Bryant are going to be together starting in the front court? LeBron, my guy. Tom Bryant can't even get backup minutes here in Denver. Zeke Naji gets them. Didn't do much, but that's important for deeper leagues. While KCP had 8 points in 34 minutes with a steal, I don't think he's worth a 12-team hold, nor is the Shark Bruce Brown, who had 4, 2, and 1 in 25 minutes. Both of those guys, KCP and Brown, really shit the bed on this Sunday matchup. And I don't think Aaron Gordon's worth a hold either. 10 and 4, no threes, 2 assists, subpar percentages. His free throws have been a disaster all season. With only 2 games, if you're needing to get games in, then Aaron Gordon's not someone that you need to hold. For the Nets, bit of a different thing with their rotation, with Cam Thomas playing 22 minutes. He'd been 5 minutes, 0 minutes, and he played 22. He only scored 7 points, but he had a steal and a block on 33% shooting. He's just one to watch if they do rest guys and end up coming back-to-back across the weekend, but I wouldn't be adding him. They do have a good schedule with 4 quality games in week 22, but I don't think he's an ad. He got those minutes because they really played down a lot of other stuff. Dinwiddie played 27 minutes, Bridges played 31 minutes, and Dorian Finney-Smith played 27. I don't know that that's going to be the likely scenario that we see Bridges and Dinwiddie play so few minutes, because that's really where it went to. It wasn't Curry, it wasn't Harris, it wasn't really O'Neal that got the minutes. It was just those starters that cut their playing time down, and Thomas got the playing time that way. Cam Johnson shot poorly, which has happened a few times in Brooklyn. 14 points, 6 rebounds, 4 steals, and a block, while Claxo had 19 and 8. And Mikal Bridges, you know, when I talk about him, how I've talked buy low, sell highs, and how the efficiency won't stick, it's really struggling at the moment. 23, 1 and 1, 3 triples, 44%, no defensive stats. He's 63rd over the last week. He's not a second-round guy. Like, I cannot stress that enough. As much as I love him, he's not. Dorian Finney-Smith stunk 2, 3, and 2 in 27 minutes. Now, again, they have that great schedule. 4 quality games next week, and no other team does. So I guess you could hold on there, but man, he's been really bad this season, so I'm not even sure that's enough to save him. While Royce O'Neal had 7 points, 6 assists, and 2 steals. He's probably a little bit more on the radar than Finney-Smith at the moment, O'Neal, even though, in general, the minutes there have been lower. Dinwiddie had 8 points with 11 assists in his somewhat limited playing time. Today's episode is brought to you by the legends over at PrizePicks. PrizePicks is daily fantasy, but it's not the daily fantasy that you've seen before. It's not daily fantasy with lineups and thousands of people going in there and salary caps. It's just player projections, simple stuff. It might be Spencer Dinwiddie's assist number set at 8.5. And you go, look at those numbers that he's racking up in Brooklyn. We'll go more than that. Or it might be Mikal Bridges at 20.5 points. And you go, look, he's getting tons of usage, so we'll go more. You get between 2 to 6 of those. You put them into a lineup, and you can win up to 25 times your entry fee back. You can do this safely and fast in under 60 seconds. You can do it in over 30 US states and in majority of Canada. And you can do it for sports that aren't just the NBA. You can do it for the NHL, Major League Baseball, men's and women's college basketball, European basketball, PGA golf, NASCAR, boxing, MMA, and of course, disc golf. So download the PrizePicks app or go to prizepicks.com to sign up and play daily fantasy sports. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with the promo code LOCKEDON. If you deposit $100, PrizePicks will give you $100. If you deposit $50, PrizePicks will give you $50. Don't forget to enter the promo code LOCKEDON at sign up for an instant deposit match up to $100. So the second game, the Phoenix Suns, they lose to the Oklahoma City Thunder, 124-120. The Suns roster at the moment is analogous to my negative feelings on going stars and scrubs in a fantasy auction draft. It's all well and good when the stars are playing, but if one of them gets hurt, you're rooted. And that's basically where we are with Phoenix. Hey, if Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Chris Paul, and DeAndre Ayton are all there, then you are a very good team. But your depth is cooked, and you had to lose a lot of that depth to get KD. So when 2 of those guys are out, which in the case here, you just can't get the win. I think they're 1-4 in their last 5 games since KD hurt his ankle. That'll be better than that most times, but it's why, again, I really don't like the stars and scrubs format, because if you lose a player, one of your 2-3 stars, you're done. You're finished. That's why I like a balanced approach in that sort of a situation. For the Suns, Booker did everything he could. 46, 3 and 1, while Chris Paul had 14, 6 and 13 with 3 steals and a block. Good games there. There's just not much else going on. Bismack Biyombo started, and I reckon he probably did close to what you wanted. 20 minutes, 6 rebounds, 3 blocks. Got some blocks, only 50% shooting. I would have hoped for 70. He had 6 boards. That's cool. Jock Landale had 5 and 3. Not a great night from him. And they just a bunch of random numbers here. Damian Lee, 13 minutes. Ish Wainwright, 13 minutes. Darius Baisley, 7 minutes. Landry Shamet returned and had 10 points in 20 minutes. Terrence Ross had 12 in 16. Josh Okogie only played 21 minutes due to foul trouble. He had 8, 3 and 3. He's not reliable because he's not very good. We know that he can have solid games, and we saw that last time out against the Magic, where he had, 3 steals, 3 blocks, 15 points, or whatever it was. But his minutes have been all over the shop. To me, he's more just a schedule stream. When they play, we can try it, and that's about it. But I have no reliability in his shooting, his minutes, or his usage, even with KD out. Torrey Craig was pretty good, apart from 7 points on 7 shots, but 7 boards, 3 assists, and 4 blocks. That is a real outlier, that 4 blocks, and I wouldn't be getting too excited about him. Shutdown legend Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had 40 points in 35 minutes. He had 5 rebounds and 4 assists and went to the line a staggering 19 times and hit 16 of them. He continues to be absolutely unbelievable and has been one of the best draft picks you could have made this season. Louis Dort, what a game from Midwest Dylan Brooks.
No, my son is also named Bort.
20 points on 64% shooting with 4 triples. That's a good Dort game. My problem with Dort has always been the efficiency, which he was fine here, but he doesn't do enough in other areas to make up for the poor shooting majority of the time. And as you see here, 23 and 1. No defensive numbers. He hit 4 threes, but I don't really trust this at all. He's on a nice little hot streak, and he's fine for points leagues because the points category carries a points league scoring system. But in category leagues, it's just not enough for me to get excited about. The Bronco, Jalen Williams.
Broncos country, let's ride.
The absolute opposite of what Lou Dort is. And this is why I think there is maybe some stardom in the future for the Bronco. He scored 5 points on 17%. Objectively terrible. No one's arguing with that. But he had 10 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, and a block. So he still gives you a good line despite being a shocking shooting performance. Because he could just do stuff in every area. And that is what makes a great fantasy player. Josh Giddey had 16, 6, and 6, while Isaiah Joe just did what he needed to do. We had him on the streaming show yesterday. Hey, you want some points and threes? Maybe Joe could be your guy. 15 points, 3 triples. He's not going to do much more than that, but we love that he got the 27 minutes or so. After that, there's not a lot there. Pig Williams had 10 and 6 in 21 minutes. A block, it's okay. He's a nice 14-team league guy. And then everyone else, it's Waters and Wiggins and Šarić, Robinson Earl, Jeng, Trey Mann, like just sort of little bits and pieces of minutes and not enough that really matters for majority of fantasy situations. The Spurs, somehow, I don't know how, somehow come back and beat the Hawks 126-118. Atlanta, the center situation remains confusing. We went back to 28 minutes here for Capella and 20 for Okongwu after Okongwu played more than Capella for 2 in a row. 15 and 12 for Koenig legend Clint Capella.
Lisa needs braces.
And Okongwu had 17 and 7 with a steal and a block in 20 minutes. Both of those are really strong lines. But the ups and downs of Okongwu's minutes make it really frustrating. We still hold him though. With no Jalen Johnson, they've gone to AJ Griffin the last couple of games, and he was good. 15 and 7 with 2 blocks in 20 minutes. But I actually don't know that they're going to play him on a night where Jalen plays because he was out of the rotation, AJ Griffin. So I don't want to rely upon that too much, but it was good. DeJounte Murray against his former team shot 40% and didn't hit a 3, 22, 6, and 8, but he wasn't as bad as Trae Young. Now, Young came into this game questionable, but played, maybe you shouldn't have. 9 points, 27%, 6 assists, no defensive stats. A stinking game from Trae Young. I wonder if the injury is a factor there. I think we can go ahead and jack Sadiq Bey.
Get that garbage out of here!
Didn't take very long for Quinn Snyder to say, oh, mate, yeah, you're actually not good. 1 point in 20 minutes, 2 rebounds, missed both of his shots, and we've gone back to more minutes of John Collins. 28 minutes for the Baptist, 14 and 6. He's nowhere near his best. He's still hovering as a fringe 12-team league guy, but now I think Collins is the guy here over Bey. While Bogdanovic had 13, 2 triples, 22 minutes, again remains a fringe guy, a streaming guy, not a must-roster player. DeAndre Hunter also similarly. He needs 37 minutes for me to go, yeah, you're a 12-teamer. 12, 5, and 2, no threes, no steals, no blocks, 42%. That is one of the most stereotypical DeAndre Hunter lines that you could get, and it's why we just do not like him as a category league player. Honestly, for points leagues, he's not that good either, averaging under 24 a game, but he just remains more of a 14-team league guy than any sort of 12-team absolute must-hold sort of a play. He just isn't that guy, I don't think, unfortunately for him. For the Spurs, Well, the foolishness continues. We just don't know what we're going to expect in this game. They sat Graham, they sat McDermott, they sat Sohan. But then random situations like a doubtfully listed Keita Bates-Diop gets upgraded and plays only 12 minutes. Okay, they put Zach Collins on there, questionable with a bicep issue, but he plays and goes crazy for 19, 8, and 3 with 3 steals and 2 blocks. That's unbelievable. But then next time we see the Spurs, Tuesday, Wednesday, it's a back-to-back. So who the hell plays? Keldon, Vassell, Collins, Jones, Branham, Langford, Bates-Diop, Sohan, Graham. I don't have confidence in any of those playing either Tuesday or Wednesday. I think they'll play one of those games, but which one? I don't know. And it makes it really, really tough to understand how to prepare and stream. Trey Jones was pretty solid, 11, 2, and 6, while Keldon was great. 29, 12, and 5 for the horse.
Whose horse is that?
62% shooting. Unfortunately, the 1 of 5 from the line is pretty disgusting, but the other stuff was really, really strong from Keldon Johnson. While Vassell also, finally, the last couple of games, this is why I was pretty big on holding onto him. 29, 2 and 3, 3 steals, a block, 5 triples, 71%. Now that is going to come down, that shooting, and he's going to be frustrating this week with schedule, no worries. But he, to me, is very clearly their best player, and it's only him and Zach Collins are the 12-team league guys that I'm absolutely holding onto. It's probably Keldon as well, but the other guys, don't know. Sandro Mamukelashvili, 19 minutes, 7, 6, and 5 with a block. As soon as we see Zach Collins out, we stream in Mamu. While Branham had 7, 4, and 2 in 26. Branham needs a few guys out because he relies on volume. He's not a good all-around fantasy contributor. He relies on volume to get the numbers up. He did start and played those 26 minutes, but he's not really a super strong category league contributor. Just he's a points sort of a guy, and that's fine. But when other players are healthy, he's just not going to get enough volume, I don't think, to be worth clogging up a roster spot. There might be something for him Tuesday, Wednesday, but remember, he's got a fake shoulder. It's a real shoulder injury, but he's got a shoulder issue that might keep him out one of those games as well. Definitely, distinctly possible. Today's episode and this week's Nissan Most Electric Player of the Week is brought to you by the all-new, all-electric 2023 Nissan Ariya. We've given it to Joel Embiid in some shows. We've given it to DeMar DeRozan in some shows. I'm going to go with Domantas Sabonis because his powerful efforts have driven the Kings over 500 for the first time in, 16 years. Sabonis is going to find himself on an all-NBA team. He does it with elegant passes. He does it with powerful drives to the rim. He's hard to stop, but he's a joy to watch. And that's exactly like the Nissan Ariya. The 2023 Nissan Ariya packs pin-to-your-seat power and premium intelligence all in one EV. The all-new, all-electric 2023 Nissan Ariya, the EV for people who love to drive. Shop now at nissanusa.com. Today's episode is also brought to you by Built Bar. Go to Built Bar and do their March Madness bracket. We're not picking college teams. That's for fools. We're picking flavor of Built Bar. Simple. BuiltMarchMadness.com. Go in there once a day and vote for your favorite flavor of Built Bar, and you could win a prize. Up to 50 Locked On listeners are going to win a free box of Built Bars, and one lucky listener, one lucky legend, in fact, is going to win a 12-month subscription to Built Bar. A box of Built Bars delivered to your house once a month for 12 months. What an unbelievable deal. And you know why they're good? Because they taste great. 100% real chocolate coating. Fantastic. But they're low in calories, they're low in fat, they're low in sugar, and they're high in protein. It is the perfect protein bar, the perfect treat and snack for you to get into your body so you're not doing things that are bad with that high calorie or high sugar or stuff that's just not good for your health. So go to BuiltMarchMadness.com, vote for your favorite flavor, do it once a day, get yourself in the draw for those prizes, buy a box while you're there as well. Built Bar is built different. Let's do the next game. The Miami Heat and the Detroit Pistons. The Heat win. Good for them. We love that. It's really good. They should win. 112-100. Victor Oladipo out of the rotation again. Okay. We're obviously dropping him. Kyle Lowry played 25 minutes coming off the bench.
Double cheeked up on a Thursday afternoon.
He only scored 7 points. Only took 2 shots. They had 6 rebounds and 6 assists. 25 minutes for him. 23 for Vincent. Didn't share the court at all. Vincent's not a 12-teamer. Lowry probably isn't. But he's at least in the stream discussion for assists. And he's a 14-team league option, understanding that he's probably going to sit back-to-backs. Adebayo played 39 minutes, 22 and 10, 5 assists, 3 blocks, because there's no Cody Zeller and they don't really trust Omer Yurtseven, who played 4 minutes. Butler had 26, 4 and 10, while Caleb Martin continues to play really well. 13, 5, and 4, 2 steals, a block, 3 triples. He's getting bench minutes. He's coming off the bench, but he's playing starters minutes with Kevin Love starting. And in a 14-team league, I really like Martin. In a 12, I'm not really sure I'm there, though. Hero had 19, 6, and 4, while Love played 24 minutes, the most he's played for a while, and probably would have played more had he not headbutted Jalen Duren in the chin and had to receive stitches himself. 12, 8, and 2, don't get me wrong, Love did not deliberately go and headbutt him. It was going for a rebound sort of situation. 12 and 8 is actually a really good line for Love with 2 triples. I don't want to trust that at all because I've seen it's not real. But this was good, and we just keep a little bit of an eye on that. While Winter Soldier Max Strus had 5 points on 22%, the fact that he cannot shoot anymore is it's a real problem for the Heat. It's a real problem for Max Strus as well, I'm guessing. For the Pistons, okay, no Bogdanovic, no Burks. Dickheads, rule them out. Just tell me they're done so I can at least make adjustments based on what's happening here. I don't know whether they're coming back. I assume they aren't. There was no Isaiah Livers or RJ Hampton here either. So they put legendary number 2 pick bust and bad NBA player Marvin Bagley straight back into the starting lineup. He started at the 4, and I actually don't have too much of a problem with that because I don't want to see Wiseman play at the 4, and I don't think Eugene Omoru is a guy that you necessarily have to develop. Bagley had 30 minutes, 14, 3, and 4 assists, which is just astonishing. 55 from the field, a block, and he was 2 of 3 from the line, which is standard. That's a pretty good game from Bagley. And if they're pumping 30 minutes into him straight away here, yeah, Livers' return will probably have some sort of an impact, but Bagley should be rostered, especially in points leagues with how they're running things. And then we had Jalen Duren, who played only 9 minutes and had to leave with that issue where Kevin Love hit him in the head and he's getting assessed for a concussion. Dwayne Casey said he was woozy, like he's getting assessed for a concussion. But he played like 7 first half minutes, Jalen Duren. Maybe it was 8. It wasn't very many. This happened in the second half, this injury. 2 points, a block. The fact that this absolute scrotum of a franchise has decided that we are just limiting Jalen Duren so that Marvin Bagley III and Marvin Bagley IV can start together is asinine. I am absolutely 100% convinced, and I can be proven wrong when this team becomes good in 3 years, and I'll happily admit that. I don't know that Troy Weaver has any idea what he's doing in terms of building a franchise. I just don't see it at all. I don't get what we're doing. But with 2 games this week, with Duren seemingly behind Bagley and Wiseman, you got to cut him. Like it's frustrating, but you got to.
Get that garbage out of here!
As for Marvin Bagley IV, James Wiseman, 22 and 13. People will look at this and go, man, what a great game. And I feel you. I understand that. But it is why he is Marvin Bagley IV. No assists, no steals, no blocks. He shot 77%. We love that. But on a real team, which of course this isn't, he's not going to get this sort of latitude to do this. And the overall lack of efficiency stuff and lack of contributions in many categories is always going to keep him down unless he's in a spot where they pump big minutes and decent usage into him. And again, when I'm talking more long-term here, I just don't really see that for him. But for now, he's useful. The problem is they play 2 games. So with a 2-game week, with uncertainty around how they're running that rotation with Wiseman, with maybe Livers returning, who knows, with Bogdanovic, with both Bagleys, like it's hard to know how to value them. Now, I will say this. If you do have Wiseman or you do have Bagley, you hold until Tuesday. Maybe even Duren, unless he gets ruled out with concussion. They've got a 2-game week, but they play Tuesday. So you'd miss 1 day, Monday. You get a 0 for Monday. That's it. Then after Tuesday, there's 1 more game for the rest of the week, and moving on is totally understandable. But they play Sunday, obviously today, and they play Tuesday. So that's 2 games, 3 nights. So don't look at it as a 2-game week. Look at it as hey, they play on Tuesday. So maybe you hold through that. But again, the complication's going to be in we don't know who's in or out on this squad. They closed this game, despite Bagley's good form. Bagley wasn't there. They went with 3 point guards in Ivy, Hayes, and Joseph, because of course. 29 minutes for Joseph. That's where my disconnect is. Okay, you're getting Bagley in there, see what he can do. So why close the game with Magruder and Joseph? What are you trying to see what they can do? Corey had 16 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. They're going to give him minutes like this. Yes, he's a 12-team league guy. Same with Rodney Magruder, who had 15 and 9 with 2 steals and 2 threes. And Magruder's putting up an all-time fantasy silly season level of production here. I don't know what. He literally would never play a single game earlier in the season. Now he's getting 38 a night and putting up big numbers. He is an option for now. We hold until Tuesday. We drop after that. And obviously it's opened up by the absence of Bogdanovic and Stewart and Cunningham and Livers and Burks and Diallo. Everyone had to be out, and here we are putting up these big numbers. Killian Hayes had 13 points with 11 assists and 2 steals. Again, we hold. 38 minutes for him. Jaden Ivey was a bit lost, 11, 4, and 5, and he's a long way away from being a good fantasy player. It's all going to be value and volume for him, and there's no volume coming up. Maybe you hold for Tuesday, but there's like 4 other people I'd rather have on this team. Wiseman, Magruder, Hayes, Bagley, probably Joseph. I'd rather have all of them for Tuesday over Jaden Ivey. He's not at this point in his career a good fantasy player. Maybe he becomes it, but at this point, that's not what he is. The next one we take a squiz at, it is the Pelicans 117 beating the Rockets 107. Christian James McCollum 26, 6, and 5. 2 steals and 2 blocks, and we love that. And then how about this guy?
Jonas Vassell Inuwansas.
Shithouse all season. Dreadful. And then plays 65 minutes in the last 2 games. All right. 21 and 12. 1 steal, 2 blocks. That's unbelievable. Not one person could have possibly seen this coming. Because before those last 2 big games, he played 16 minutes, 21 minutes, 16 minutes, 7 minutes. So just a complete change in ideas from Willie Green, and it's really obviously benefited Valanciunas in this situation. Jackson Hayes taken out of the rotation, and Valanciunas getting good minutes. Great, good for him. Herb Jones had 13 and 4, while Ingram had 26, 2, and 9. While Murphy played 38 minutes, Trey Murphy, not a great game. 14 points, didn't shoot well, 39%, hit 3 threes. I'm still definitely holding him because those minutes remain exciting, but Josh Richardson's aren't. 17 minutes, 6, 2, and 2. Now, he's sort of gone back and forth from 17 to 25, back to 17 here. That puts him in 14-team discussions more than 12, and we wanted to get an idea, hey, what's he going to do? How much is he going to play? What's his role in their rotation? And again, just there's always a bunch of stupid things you see from coaches where you go, that makes no sense, and then it obviously makes no sense, and it seems like it's a crazy idea because starting him and playing him big minutes over Trey Murphy was insane as soon as it happened, and it got fixed, but where was the logic behind any of that? Anyway, that doesn't even matter anymore. For the Rockets, Jalen Green, 40 points. It is very empty though. 4 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, 50% shooting, and I love the 14 of 14 from the line. Absolutely fantastic. I don't really feel confident trusting Jalen Green, but we're obviously still rolling with him because the usage and the minutes are huge. Kevin Porter's minutes are huge as well. Steven Silas is just leaning big minutes into these guys. 40 minutes for cousin Kevin, 25, 5, and 4 for him, while Şengün played 31 minutes despite fouling out. Only had 9 points because he shot 38%, but 7 rebounds, 6 assists, a steal, and a block. And while we'll go down and we'll have a look at Jabari Smith, in fact, we'll do it now.
Smitty.
It's a really bad game. 8 and 4, no threes, no assists, no steals, no blocks. Shout out to Marvin Bagley. He shot 20%, but he played 38 minutes. That's the encouraging sign. He's not fixed as being an excellent shooter every game, but it's encouraging signs. Instead of 30 minutes, we're playing 38 now. And that is where you get a buffer in being able to hold him, I think. Tari, regular season, played 22 minutes. It helps that Alperen Şengün was in foul trouble or fouled out. 10 and 5 for Eason. Schedule stream, get the volume in when they play. That's probably about it for Eason, but he's not looking like that must-hold guy. While KJ Martin struggled, 8 points, no defensive stats, only 5 rebounds. I still do think KJ is a 12-team league player, but he has dropped off since Kevin Porter has returned. He's probably taken the biggest hit, him and Eason, since cousin Kev came back into the lineup. The next game, the Toronto Raptors, they lose to the Bucks 118-111. The final score here for this one. Anunoby, 37 minutes with 22 points.
But what about scarves?
OG.
Balenciaga
Stop,
ones.
OG. You better stop, OG.
Steal and a block, really good. Well, Siakam, mate, can you just be efficient ever? 13 points, 14 shots. He did have 12 boards with 7 assists and 2 steals and hit his free throws, but man, the ups and downs of this bloke, especially the downs towards the end of the season, have been frustrating. They went with Christian Koloko last game as the backup center, and they said that we want to use Precious Achiuwa, get him maybe some power forward minutes, but they lied. They played him a lot more at center here, so Koloko back out of the rotation. And again, Nurse saying, man, we really love this defense. Pirtle and Koloko, man, that defense is something else. So 0 minutes for Koloko, 20 minutes for Precious, 5 and 5 for the big sneeze with a block. We don't care about that in fantasy. What we do care about, though, is Scotland Barnes. Had to leave the game at halftime with a wrist issue, had to go get x-rays. They came back negative, and he's going to get reassessed tomorrow. So we worried a little bit about wrist ligament issues there. Hopefully he's okay. With him out, that gave more minutes to Precious, but also gave more minutes to Gaz Trent, who played 33 of them. He had 18 points with a steal and 5 threes. He only shot 33%, so 18 points on 18 shots. That's a real Trent special, that one. But the fact that Barnes is in doubt now, and they are going from Trent from 23 to like a minimum 27 minutes, pushes him back onto that radar, and that Barnes injury is going to really give him some value, especially if he gets to start and play 37 minutes. So if he was dropped, you go grab him now. The Barnes injury has opened stuff up there for him. Boucher had 5 points in 16 minutes. We don't really care too much there. Pirtle, 20 and 6 with 2 blocks and didn't go to the free throw line, so that's a W. For the Milwaukee Bucks, Giannis.
Giannis Antetokounmpo.
100% from the field. Love that one. 22, 13, and 10 with 2 blocks. Bad from the line, but who cares? The other stuff really, really strong. Brookie Lopez, 26 and 5 with 2 blocks. His season just remains unbelievable. I can't believe he's been this good. Honestly, I cannot believe that I see this from him every night. Well, Chris Middleton, I think, is actually back. 32 minutes, 20 and 8, 5 assists with 5 threes, and Drew Holiday had 11 and 7 assists. Grayson Allen also returned to being Grayson Allen, 2 points on 14%. And there was no Jay Crowder. So when you look at Bobby Portis' line and go, 14 and 9, that's pretty good as a reserve. Yeah, there was no Crowder. And we've seen the pattern that since Crowder has been there, Portis plays like 18, 19 minutes off the bench, and he's not a 12-team league guy. Crowder out, minutes up. Shout out to Goran Dragic, by the way, all-time, like, where's this guy going to go and make a difference legend who never does anything and now can't even play. But with no Crowder, Portis was able to bump those minutes up and be useful enough. I don't think he's a 12-team league player, though. Jinglen Joe's a 12-team streamer for assists. He had 5 in 21 minutes, while we had Javon Carter having 9 points in 20 and Connaughton having 8 in 18, and they're pretty much irrelevant for most fantasy leagues, I would say. The next game takes us to Portland, where the Clippers get a very easy win, 117-102 against the Blazers. The Blazers are embarrassing at the moment, honestly. And we'll talk about more about them in a second. Let's go to the Clippers, who were pretty strong here. Not Chrissy Paul, what am I talking about? He used to play for them. Paul George is who I'm talking about. 29, 9 and 4, 4 steals, a block, only 36% shooting, but we love the free throws, and that's just a big game. While Kawhi played 40 minutes. 40. Kawhi is now top 15 for the season per game. Imagine that. 24, 5 and 2, 2 steals, 2 dribbles, continues to look amazing. And I'll tell you who else is playing well? Eric Gordon. I wouldn't say that Eric Gordon's a must-roster player, but 20 points and 4 threes, a steal and a block, and 28 minutes puts him absolutely firmly on our radar as a 12-team points and 3 stream and a 14-team league guy to grab. 34 minutes from Westbrook's also interesting. Only 9 points on 25%, which hurts a lot, but 12 rebounds and 10 assists. And I'm just intrigued that he got those minutes. Because the last time he played 30 minutes was the last game, but that was because Kawhi was out. And he'd been playing like 27, 25 minutes prior to that. He only still fits a very certain specific subset of teams, points leagues, and guys punting percentages. But that's good to get those rebounds and assists. Zubats had 14 and 10. Stop rostering the cockroach. Like Mason Plumlee had 7 and 5 in 14 minutes. I say that, but I did say that Plumlee was at least a stream today for field goal percentage and for rebounds, and he maybe helped you there. But he's still rostered in far too many leagues. Well, Terrence Mann played 16 minutes, which is not great for him, obviously, and Morris played 24 minutes. Covington went from 23 minutes yesterday, 3 steals and whatever else he did, to 0 minutes, which was not a surprise for the Blazers. We got that report from Chris Haynes the other day about Damian Lillard.
Oi, Damo, give us your lighter.
Saying if they drop out over the next week or two that he will be shut down. Each loss pushes us closer to that. 21, 7 and 9, a 111, 24% shooting. That's gross. But 12 of 13 from the line. Just be prepared for Lillard to sit games. And I think if he's going to sit games, then Yusuf Nurkic will as well. 27 minutes for Nurkic, 23, 11 and 5 with 2 blocks and 2 triples. That's a very good game. Very good game. I actually featured him on my underperforming players list last week, so it's going to step up, and it's been great. But I do worry that he's not going to play. And I think the guy who's going to have to step up is Shaedon Sharpe. Sharpe played 24 minutes. He had 10 points with 3 steals, a block, and 2 triples. Now, overall, he's got a pretty rancid fantasy game. It's just a points sort of guy who struggles with assists and other counting stats. But I reckon there's going to be a situation here where he's playing 37 a night and putting up some okay numbers. They decided to not go with Trendon Watford after him playing like 40 minutes and 34 minutes the last 2 games. He did not start. He came off the bench and Cam Reddish started. That did not work. Reddish had 0 points in 19 minutes, and there's a reason why Cam Reddish gets passed around, because he's not very good and he's inconsistent. He can be an interesting player sometimes for steals and for threes, but he can't do it for more than 2 or 3 games in a row, so we don't rely upon him. Much like for Matisse Thybulle. He might have a hot shooting streak, but it's just all about steals. 6 and 4, 23 minutes, nothing else. Nothing has changed. Like, yes, he is shooting better in Portland, but you don't trust it. You don't care about it. It's all about whether he gets steals. That is all Matisse Thybulle brings. Now, you'd hope for a few more minutes here, and this stunk, obviously. So, the way to consider, like, if you're holding him, it's like, do I need steals? Do I need some out-of-position blocks? And you would hope that he gets them. But as we understand, we've seen with Delon Wright, we've seen with Matisse Thybulle, the most variable game-to-game, week-to-week, year-to-year fantasy category is steals. They vary all the time. It is very hard to rely upon that production, even for a guy as elite as Thibault, on a game-by-game basis. A steal is one play in a game with 110 possessions. It's one play. And you might get 3 plays in one game, and it might not happen in the other ones. It's so low volume and high variance. It just happens. You can't do much about it. As for Watford, 12-3, 29 minutes. As long as Jeremy Grant's out, we feel okay about using him. But 29 minutes of Watford is borderline. 35 is 12 teams. And now the uncertainty of where he fits, I don't know. Obviously, starting Cam Reddish didn't work. So I think Watford would go back to that spot if he is indeed starting. But the problem we now have is that the Blazers don't play until Wednesday. So is Trendon Watford good enough to hold when A, he might not start, and B, Jeremy Grant might be back? The answer is clearly no. So I would much rather get somebody else in. But then you might have Grant ruled out for like another 3 games, and Watford plays 40 minutes a night for the remaining 3 games of the week, starting Wednesday, and then that costs you. So it's definitely not clear cut. I think in general that there is that risk of Grant returning, which would make it 10 days since his injury, returning on Wednesday, which seems like a fair enough timeline. Where if I made a cut on Watford, I'd feel okay about it. But they could also just pack shit in by the end of the week and say, what, Jeremy's done, Lillard's done, Simon's done, Nurkic is done, Watford's playing 45 a night. That could happen. And then you're really left out in the cold if you don't have Trent. So it is a team that is frustrating, and we're just waiting for stuff to sort of fall to see where we can end up getting value. But that tough decision has to be made. Have a look at the waiver wire. Now, there's only 6 games Monday and 6 Tuesday, so you might not have good options to stream in, and only one Monday, Tuesday back-to-back the Kings. If I had the option to add Keegan Murray or Malik Monk, I'd probably do it over Watford. But otherwise, maybe you hold. Maybe you deal with the zeros and you try to stack up later in the week and hope Grant is out. But it is definitely a risk. Let's do the last game. The Orlando Magic, they came close, but the Lakers get the win in the end, 111-105. Another big game from Wendell Carter Jr. He's top 30 over the last week. 16-11 with 2 triples. Really good. Cole Anthony. Remember the values in the volume? Well, he really did deliver that, didn't he? 28 minutes, 17, 5 and 3, 3 triples, a steal and a block. Didn't shoot well, but with Jalen Suggs out, he was able to keep his minutes high and his volume high, which is important. And as long as Suggs is out, Anthony is a 12-team league option. Franz Wagner was struggling. Usage was down, everything was down, but he's picked it back up, which is great. 37 minutes, 21, 8 and 7 with 2 steals, while Banchero, who, again, usually is bad in both percentages, was only bad in one today. 21, 6 and 3 on 40% from the field on 20 attempts, hit all 4 of his free throws. Still hurts quite a bit, but much better than him going like 4 of 6 from the line. Fultz had 12, 3 and 10, definitely not his best. And a couple of other interesting things that we saw from the rotation last game. They did stick with Goga Badadze as the backup center. He played over Mo Wagner. 3 and 4 for Goga with a steal and 2 blocks. If you're in a deeper league, the Dart is someone you can have a look at.
Problem with my Gogo-mobile. Gogo-mobile? No, not the Dart. Not the Dart.
And they are continuing to fade Bol out. 6 minutes, 4 points, while Caleb Houston is getting that rotation time instead of Bol. For the Lakers, it's all about Austin Reaves here. 30 minutes, 35 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists. 18 free throw attempts. That's bloody ridiculous. 16 of 18 from the line, shot 64 from the field. Now, he's not this good, obviously, every night. And before today, he was 114th over the last week. And now the Lakers don't play until Wednesday. But he was producing solid 12-team numbers. The worry I have now is it worth holding for 2 days off? Probably is. He's better than Troy Brown. He's better than Dennis Schroeder. I don't know if they're going to start him. They should. They should play him 35 a night. But they're sort of limiting him here to 30, which is frustrating. Brown started off poorly, but ended up okay. 12 and 5 with 4 threes, while Davis had 15, 11 and 4 blocks, and Russell had 18, 1 and 6 with 4 threes and 2 blocks. So good numbers from the big stars there. Schroeder, not that good. 12, 3 and 5 on subpar percentages. With 2 games off, I'd be more than okay with dropping him. And I think you say the same for Malik Beasley, who had 3 points in 26, and Vanderbilt, who had 2 and 10. Vanderbilt and Beasley are very fringe guys, and with no games on Monday, Tuesday, you can consider dropping them. Only 3 games for the week. And again, on Wednesday, it's strong. 3 games in 5 nights. That's pretty good. But can you deal with zeros for fringe players? I don't know. You definitely don't do it with Hachimura, who had 8 points in 19 minutes. And I think there's someone I'm forgetting. Yeah, Wenyen Gabriel. 20 minutes for him. 6 points, 8 rebounds, 1 block. Now, he was added in a lot of 12-team leagues. I don't think that's really the right move, and it definitely isn't now with 2 games off. But if you're in a 16-team leaguer, Gabriel is getting those backup minutes because Bumba is out. He has to get those minutes. He's even playing a little bit next to Davis. And as a blocks and field goal percentage option, you can probably do a little bit. You could do worse. Like, he played better than Jared Vanderbilt, I thought, today, which is very interesting. Vanderbilt's very up and down. And again, much like Matisse Thybulle, if you rely upon Vanderbilt for some rebounds with some out-of-position steals and field goals, you'll be okay. Anything else you expect? I think you're going to set yourself up for failure in that sort of situation. The lines of the night, the monstrous goes to Big Chungus, Nikola Jokic. Your waiver wire line of the night is Eric Gordon. The young gun is Jalen Green. And the dud of the night is Trae Young. Your top 10 players in category leagues for today, number 1 was Jokic, followed by Devin Vassell, Jalen Green, Devin Booker, Zach Collins, Bam Adebayo, Yusuf Nurkic, Paul George, Chris Paul, and Austin Reaves. Top 10 players rostered in under 50% of leagues. Eric Gordon, yeah, look, he is a stream option with the minutes he's getting at the moment. He's in the mix for it. Caleb Martin, I love what he did today. That was fantastic. Probably more 14 than 12. Rodney Magruder, amazingly, yes, he's a 12-team option, while Torrey Craig's not really. AJ Griffin, I liked as well, but he also played 0 minutes when Jalen Johnson was healthy. So I'm watching it, but I'm not doing anything with that. Shaden Sharp is one that I might pounce on if Lillard gets ruled out, although Billups' rotations don't make any sense. Isaiah Joe, elite 3-point streamer. Number 8 was Royce O'Neal. Probably does deserve a 12-team roster spot with the Nets' strong schedule. Drew Eubanks is a block streamer only, and Troy Brown's like a deeper league sort of guy. Not much to look at there for 12-team formats. Your top 10 players in points leagues today. Number 1 was Jokic, followed by Paul George, Yanni, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Chris Paul, Christian James McCollum, Devin Booker, Keldon Johnson, Austin Reaves, and Devin Vassell. And now I'm going to go pause this show to go and have a look if the winners of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Bowl have actually been announced on the site. There is going to be some adjustment. They have to do like stat checking, and there's like a 2-day, 3-day grace period before I'll pay out on it. But let me just go and have a look and see if the final scores have tallied up. All right, so I've gone in and had a look. The Locked On Fantasy Basketball Bowl, the points division, we had 360 teams, 30 divisions, 12 teams. The top 2 out of each division ended up in a giant 60-man final week tournament. And whoever scored the most fantasy points total for that week won. And the winner goes to Styles of Beyond, Karan Talwar. Congratulations, mate. I know you're a Basketball Monster member and have been it for ages, and a follower of this podcast for ages as well. So congratulations to you for getting the victory. Really, really awesome stuff to see you get there. That is just an astonishing performance, and really just awesome to have you get that final prize. First team out of 360 squads are able to get it. We love that. That's just awesome stuff. And then we go on to the category league one. Actually, before we go on to the category league, we'll have a look at Karan's team in the points league battle royal. He had Trey Jones, Kevin Porter, Austin Reaves, who actually got him over the line today, amazingly. Giannis, Zach Collins, Kenyon Martin Jr., Jakob Poeltl, Jimmy Butler. I was going to call him Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler, Nick Claxton, Jim Wiseman, Taylor Horton-Tucker, Jalen Suggs, Marvin Bagley, and Domantas Sabonis was his team. During the final week matchup, we couldn't make any waiver ads. It was just all locked because you were going up against teams who had the same players, so couldn't do waiver ads. But that was his final winning team for this week. And I'm just, for some reason, the website for the category league setup isn't loading up. I think I know who won, but I just want to get it up on the screen so I actually can go through their team and confirm it. But if it is what I think, it's an unbelievable effort to get there. Because in the category league, it was same story. We had 360 different teams, 30 divisions, 12 teams in each one. So the top 8 in each division went through to the playoffs, and then we got through until we got to the final 2 in each division. And once we got to the final 2 in each division, those top 2 teams, and I was one of those teams in my league, we went through to a giant battle royal. 60 teams, same thing, no waiver moves. And what we did during that week is that our team went up head-to-head against all 59 other teams simultaneously. So we had to see what record we could get up against all of those different opponents. So the best record you could get was 59-0. It's not each category, it's a standard playoff. All you need to do is win 5-4. So who gets the most wins? So the best you get was 59-0. The worst you could do was 0-59. So from what I can tell, because again, the thing's just not loading up, a team by the name of Day to Day got the victory. And I'm confident this is what's happened. I'm going to wait for everything to settle and get before we give out the prizes. But Day to Day has won the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Bowl 9 category league tournament, 360 teams, and he won it going 59-0 in the championship matchup. He beat every single team he was up against. That is honestly amazing. I didn't think anyone was going to go 59-0, but he went 59-0, smashed all of our other teams. I can't bring up to see how everyone went because, again, it's just the standings aren't loading. What did I go? 11-48, shithouse. 51st out of 60. That's dreadful for me in that league. My team was Burks, Dinwiddie, Reddish, Brown, Bruce Brown, Brandon Ingram, Najee Marshall. Yeah, because I had to stream in a bunch of guys to get the win last week. Porzingis, Fultz, Hunter, Nurkic, Beal, Harden, Melton, Jaren Jackson. And had Clarkson in my IR. So that was how my team went. Let's bring up day-to-day's team because I can have a look on here. Yeah, 59-0. He finished first. His team was Tyus Jones, DeAnthony Melton, Matisse Thybulle, Jimmy Butler, DeMar DeRozan, Herb Jones, Joel Embiid, Onyeka Okongwu, Maga Porter Jr., Jim Wiseman, Don Mitchell, Delon Wright, Jaren Jackson. Amazing if you look at that team. Embiid is the first-round player there, but like Jimmy Butler, DeMar DeRozan, just waiver wire guys. Jones, Melton, Thybulle, Herb Jones, Okongwu, Wiseman, Delon. That's pretty crazy. What an amazing effort to get that victory and go 59-0 in the championship battle royal. You guys, once all the stats finalized, the payouts will come later on this week. Everyone who made it through the final week, you also get $75, which is triple your entry fee if you made it through the final matchup. And that will do it for me today, guys. Don't forget to follow this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, and on the Odyssey app. And if you are on YouTube, thumb it up and leave your comments down below. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.